Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the North East Non-League Show. Looking back with and joining us now, we have Craig Lynch. Craig, thank you very much for coming on the show tonight.
No, thank you very much for having us. It's nice to be on. Thanks a lot.
Excellent. And again, thank you to our sponsors, Beer Watch TV, Sunderland West End, Durham City FC, Jade Bell, and always, of course, proud to support If You Care Share Foundation as well. Lots of questions to go for it now, Craig. So start with the early days. Obviously, mention of Sunderland. I've got to say that very quietly on this channel. But we all happy with everyone now. But after a couple of years in the academy, you turned pro at Sunderland. I mean, as a young footballer coming through, how good is that feeling after all the hard work, the effort that you put in, the travelling, to say that you're now a professional footballer? What was that moment like for yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it doesn't get much better. I was at Sunderland from 6, so I was there from 6 to 22. So I did the full stint in the academy, every age group, and going through, and then getting to play in the Premier League. I mean, that's just the icing on the cake, isn't it? For anybody, that's the dream. Like, it's a hard one because not many people make it, and I obviously haven't had a full career there. But to say that I've played in probably one of the best, if not the best league in the world for some part, it's brilliant. It's something that'll obviously stay with us forever. So it was an amazing experience, and getting a couple of games, but being involved with the team for a year, in and out the squad for training, and on the bus to the away games. Being in my first game was at Man City away, so it doesn't get much better than that. And seeing some of the players up close at the time, it was David Silva and Mario Balotelli, Tevez, Vincent Kompany. So I was just as we were hitting the peak in 2012. So no, it was brilliant.
No, really amazing. Like you say, you make your pro debut in 2011. I always remember around that time the striker crisis, Steve Bruce. I mean, I think at the end, I know my mates were telling us we put the centre backs up front, and I mean, as a striker, obviously looking on, you're thinking, come on, I'm sitting here, I'm doing well at the reserve level. Put us in for that time. What was it like seeing obviously centre backs going in front at that time? Did you think, will you ever get this chance in the first team?
Yeah, but look, it's a big step up. I mean, it's something at that point. The squad was like unbelievable. You had
Yeah,
like Sully Muntari, who had won the Champions League at Inter Milan, and John Mensah, Jordan Henderson, Phil Bardsley, Asamoah Gyan, Darren Bent, Danny Welbeck was on loan. You're talking about full-blown internationals. Zenden obviously played for Barcelona. I could go through the whole list of every player that was there, and I was just happy to be with them. To be honest, that's where I always was when I played football. I just thought, well, I'm lucky to be around it, and if I get the opportunity, then that'll be even better. So it was good as well because, like you just said, there was a lot of big names missing. So there was a few of us who were good mates who'd come through the academy together. We're on the bus rides, we're on the bench at big stadiums, and it just made it that bit better, made it that bit special. Like you're sharing the moments with lads who I've known since I was 10, 11 year old.
no, that's great. And like you say, you run out with saying Light, and obviously that the applause that you get as well. It's amazing. What was that day like for yourself? Just the build up, knowing that you're in the match day squad, and when you finally get that call to come, what was that feeling like for yourself?
Yeah, well, luckily I'd been involved with a few squads before that. Like I said, Man City, and then the week before I came on against Fulham, we had Birmingham away, and Steve Bruce said, "Right, you're coming on." So I was standing on the sideline for about 10 minutes, and he didn't bring us on. So again, it's one of them things, isn't it? So for the week after against Fulham, that kind of got rid of my nerves, knowing that the week before I'd been stripped, I'd been standing on the sideline, and so when I came on, it's a bit of a strange feeling because there's 40,000 there, but once you're in the game, you just blare it out, and it didn't really help. But we were getting beat in both games I came on in, and then got booed off in both games. So that was a bit of a strange feeling going from the highs of coming on to getting booed off in both games, and then that season somehow, Sunderland finished 10th in the league. So it was again a bit of a unreal situation where a couple of weeks before was getting booed off, and then last game of the season beat West Ham at Upton Park, and then we finished 10th. So it was a fantastic end to the season, which again it started with in April on the bench at Man City, and then I had 2 games running, played about 20 minutes in both games against Fulham and Wolves. So it was fantastic.
Really good. And I've got to ask you, obviously, I've seen firsthand the last 4 or 5 seasons. What's Steve Bruce like as a manager or coach? Does he get hands on in training, or is he kind of one that steps back and lets the coaches get on with it?
Yeah, well, funny enough, I work for Newcastle Foundation now, and I do support Newcastle. Actually, my dad was a big Newcastle fan, but I spent 16 years at Sunderland, so But Steve Bruce, I know he's got a lot of stick from Newcastle fans, which again it's about results, isn't it?
Yeah,
He didn't get the results that was needed. But for me, I couldn't sit there and let anyone slag him off because he gave me the best day of my
exactly.
life. So, but
Yeah,
no, he was just a really good man manager, not really a coach. At the time, it suddenly had Eric Black with him, who was an exceptional coach, really good. Yeah, Eric Black didn't come to Newcastle with him, but Steve Bruce was just a good man manager. That's what his personality was. He would put your arm around you, he'd have a laugh with you, and that got the best out of players. And again, he did really well with the squad he had at Sunderland. He had some big names like I just mentioned, but everyone enjoyed playing for him because he was one of the lads. But he would let you know as well if you weren't doing it.
yeah. And O'Neill comes in 2012. You joined Hartlepool on loan. You played 6 games, 1 goal, which I remember seeing you a few games. I used to go down to watch Hartlepool a lot.
Yeah.
How did you find your loan spell there? And as a young player, is that very important that you go out and get the Football League experience as well?
Yeah, I was desperate to go out on loan, and Hartlepool came in for me. So I had the opportunity to go to Hartlepool. I was a bit disappointed really because I was only there a month, and I thought that was a bit it was a bit unwarranted, to be honest, that I was only a month. But to be honest, I think we wanted Ryan Noble, who was there the year before, but got told he had to take
Right.
me. I think that's kind of what I was trying to pick up on, and I came on a couple of games, did all right, and then I started against Colchester and scored after 6 minutes, and I did well. Well, I thought I did, but the manager wasn't really having us, and he sent us back, and then Ryan Noble went for a week out, went back. So I was a bit disappointed in that sense because I thought I could have really brought something to the team because I was playing well that year. I'd had about 6 months with Sunderland first team in training with them every day. I dropped out in League One. I thought I was good enough for the level. I've not really had a big run in the team, been there for a month, but he sent us back. I was up with the manager at the time, and that's fair enough. I didn't really get the opportunity to go elsewhere after that, but that's just the way it goes. I would have liked the opportunity to go out a little bit more and experience more loans, but
Yeah.
if it's not the case, it's not the case. I was kind of, as well, when Steve Bruce left and Martin O'Neill came in, he came to we were having an in-house friendly, so it was like most of the reserve squad and first team, and at that point it was probably the best I'd been playing, and he really took a shine to us. So he had us in around the squad, and then he wouldn't let us go out on loan, and I was playing for the reserves, and I was going for first team. So it was brilliant. The experiences I've had have been fantastic. Even though we were short lived, it was brilliant. I've got little experiences which, like I said, it stay with us forever.
Great memories. And you leave Sunderland 2014, join Rochdale. What was it like, obviously, after so long at the club to leave Sunderland and haven't then find a new club at that point?
Yeah, it was difficult. It all came around all of a sudden. Again, I was the oldest in the reserve team. Gus Poyet was in charge, and from 6 to 16 in the academy, I didn't have any injuries. But as soon as I turned 16, I just couldn't keep fit with long-term injuries. And Gus Poyet came in. I wasn't fit, but then I started having to run in the team as number 9, whereas I always played wide. I was a 10 just off the strike, and I was playing as a number 9, and I scored 9 and 9 for reserves. And I thought I've got to be around the first team now. And we had a couple of in-house friendlies, reserves versus first team, and we beat them. So again, for us as reserve lads, thinking, well, give us a chance. And then instead of that, he was kind of annoyed that we were beating them. So that was a bit of an interesting one as well. He took it quite personally. But I'm thinking, well, you've got lads here, that's good enough. There's 3 or 4 of us that have showed previously. And then we had a game just at the end of the January, and there's loads of Scottish clubs that were interested in us, and I'd gone up to Dundee. But then it was just a strange situation where the manager was like, well, if your contract was to be terminated, we would take it, but we can't get any more loans in. So I was thinking, well, why? So I was thinking, well, why have I been sent here for? I could have went to other Scottish clubs and gone on loan, but we pushed us towards Dundee. And then obviously I had a conversation with Sunderland, and we said, well, Gus Poyet says you're just a little bit too old for him to work with you. I was like, well, I'm 21. For that age in football is nothing, but he wanted lads that he thought if you're 21 or over, you should be with the first team or you're not good enough. Which again, everyone's got their own opinions and how they want to manage, that was the way he was. So I ended up terminating my contract within 2 days. So it all came around all of a sudden. I thought, well, if he doesn't want it, it's fair enough. I'll try and go somewhere else. And I went to Rochdale, played in a friendly for them, and he signed us straight away. But again, it was another strange situation. I went there, and Scott Hogan was the striker, and he scored 30 odd goals. And we were saying, look, you might not play much now, but next season Scott will obviously get sold because there's loads of clubs after him. So I thought, oh great, well, I'll just bide my time. I'll do my best. If I get minutes, I get minutes. And all the signs were positive. And I came on in the last game, and the chief executive said, oh, I can't wait to see you next season. But at that point, I didn't have a contract for the year after. So I was thinking, happy days when I go in for the contract talks. And then Keith Hill, who I thought was a really good manager as well, he just said, we changed our mind. We're going in a different direction. We've had a look at the injury record. It's not great. So if you were to stay, it would be more as a fringe player. And obviously the money to move to Manchester, there's nothing. It didn't really work. I think he chucked a little carrot there and a little contract, but it just wasn't feasible. So that was it. I really enjoyed my time there. I only had 3 or 4 months, but again, I was involved in a team that got promoted. So there was an open top bus tour around Rochdale in the rain, which again, that's an experience in itself. It was a bit like Mike Bassett when we rode down the motorway the wrong way. But no, it was another good experience being involved in that, in a League Two changing room where the team's getting promoted. We finished 3rd in the league, but we still had a chance to win the league on the last day. So again, it was another excellent experience, which not many people have the chance to be involved in a full-time promotion side at any level. So it was brilliant.
Really good. It's really nice to hear the stories, and kind of like, if say, when managers are bringing on promises and contracts and stuff like that, it's nice to hear the player side of things, because I don't think in the media always hear the player side of things. I know I love to watch Under the Cosh, and it's the same on there. A lot of players will get slagged off by the fans, and then until they come on the show and kind of explain what's happening at that point, contract talks, it's really nice to hear the players' point of view as well. As we go through the show, really good.
Yeah, like I said, there's again, like you just said as well, you see it from the media side of things, but there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes in all clubs. You've got the managers, the agents who have got the same agents as managers and players, and they want to try and bring their own players in. And there's just, I don't really think you get to know the full truth on stuff. Even as a player, there's always hidden, everyone's got agendas, haven't they, trying to do the best for themselves, which is fair enough. But I mean, nearly every contract talk I had was a strange one, because there's always something, like I said, going on at the time with people and reasonings for not giving you a contract or for giving you a contract.
It's strange times. And again, everyone, thank you so much for watching. We're almost hitting up towards double figures now, which is amazing. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe as well. Get any comments in, we'll go for them as the show goes on as well. But yeah, like you said, down at Rochdale, then back up to North East and signed for Spennymoor in 2014, which at the time was a club on the up. How did you find your time there? Was it quite exciting coming to sign for Spenny? I mean, like you say, the world looking at that next level. There was obviously the all open talk. We're going to go up. We're going to do this. It was big times for the club at that time, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I live at Bolburn, which is literally 5 minutes drive from Spennymoor. So it was my local non-league club, really. So I was really, really happy to go there. Like you said, we were on the up. We had some lads there who I already knew, so I thought easy to settle in. It was my first club in non-league. Again, when you're in the bubble of full-time football, I'd never ever thought I'd be 22 going to non-league, but that's just the way it is. It's a hard industry to keep at the top of the game for. And I thought Spennymoor would have been perfect, but unfortunately, it's probably the biggest disappointment in my career, because it just didn't take off. I got there and I started getting a couple of games, and then I think it was my second start, I broke my collarbone against Casper Way in the FA Cup. So I broke my collarbone, and Oatie's a physio, and he's a top bloke, Oatie, great physio, but it was that broken he couldn't even tell. So I could do, when he's doing all the ranges with my arm, I could do it all, because it was snapped in two, which is a strange one. So I was trying to run and stuff, and I was like, that doesn't feel right. So I got an X-ray on and be like, oh, it's snapped, but it will heal, because we don't really like doing operations on collarbone. So I said, all right, great. And 4 months, it took 4 months for it to heal. And I went back and he's like, oh, it actually hasn't healed properly yet. So you can either get an operation or you can just see how it goes. I was like, oh, well, that's fantastic, isn't it? So it didn't take off for Spennymoor 5 or 6 games, which was really disappointing, because I thought it would be a club, like you said, I could be there for a long time, and I would have been really happy to be there for a long time. But look, Jason, I was no use to them. I was injured. Blythe, I had the opportunity to go to Blythe, and so Spennymoor just cut the losses, which is totally fair enough. I get that. And I went to Blythe, and then again, I'd not been fit for 4 months, and I went there, and some great lads again. I was lucky to go to another club where I knew a lot of the lads. But as I was starting to get my fitness up at the end of the season, I wasn't getting the game time which I thought I should have been. I was starting to score a couple of goals. I mean, we had Dan Maguire up front again, another exceptional player. But those times me and him were up front together and came on, scored goals. And then the last game of the season, I still remember it. We had Ilkeston at home, and we needed to win to get in the playoffs, and we were 2-1 down, and I didn't come on, and he only made 2 subs. So I was a bit disappointed in that, to be honest with you. That I thought, well, now's the time to get us on, and didn't bring us on. So I thought, well, travelling to Blythe 2-3 times a week, which is quite a distance, and then I had the opportunity to go to Durham City, and I just started coaching as well. So through that time, I was transitioning from full time to then look at getting a job. So I started coaching, and Durham City's on my doorstep, so I thought that would be another perfect move to go to Durham, and unfortunately again that one didn't take off one bit. It was a shambles, to be honest, and that was the start of obviously unfortunate demise of a great non-league club. Again, another hometown club of mine, which you see in the Wearside League. Fantastic to see we got the first point of the season yesterday.
Amazing, wasn't it? Yeah.
But it's just a disgrace really that a club like that's been run into the ground, and there's some great people there, but unfortunately again a lot of lies and a lot of promises which just haven't been fulfilled over the years. Hopefully Gary, I know Gary well, he's from Bolburn as well, and I hope he can get a bit of stability for the team and start pushing the club back up the leagues, or just even keep the club going for a couple of years, and then they'll start progressing again. But that was, like I said, that was the start. I might be a little bit of a jinx for clubs, to be honest, but that was the start. I mean, again, we just Chandler was a manager. He put a good squad together, and I thought, well, we'll have a good chance in the Northern League here. It was my first Northern League club. I thought, oh, we'll have a good chance, good players. And about, I can't think, 4 months into that, and Chandler got all the lads together and said, oh, look, Bernard's cutting all the money. He wants to build a stadium, so nobody will be getting paid. So that's no good for anyone, really, is it? So we had Crooktown on the Tuesday night in a cup game, and there was only a couple of us left. And Bernard came up to us after the game. I was only, again, 23. I wasn't interested in management or coaching or anything. I just wanted to play football. And he said, well, we're getting rid of everyone, but I can pay you a little bit of money if you want to stay on as a manager. I was like, the manager? I was like, what am I going to manage? And for 2, I was like, no, I've come to play. That's no interest to me whatsoever. I want to try and get away as fast as I can, really, because it's been a shambles what you've done. To say you want to build a stadium so you get rid of all the money, and then look where we are now. I could have told them that day, and I think everyone else would have said you've got no chance. So it was just an excuse, really, just to cut the money and save himself some money, which again is a disgrace, because he could have the chance to sell it to proper people, football people, and he's running it into the ground. And I follow the fiasco which has happened on Twitter the last six months to a year, and it's been actually a bit weird, hasn't it? Look, watching it unfold, the fellow on Twitter, some of the stuff putting on, just embarrassing, really, and it shouldn't be allowed. But this is what happens when people who don't know football get involved.
That's it. And like I say, we've had a few former Durham City players on that's played kind of at different parts over the years, and they've always said the same. They just hope the club gets through it. Like you say, the draw yesterday, I know Wayne put his message on it, was great. It's just to see how proud he was. As he mentioned a few months ago, didn't have a kit, didn't have a pitch, didn't have any water bottles until we bought the water bottles for them. It was it's crazy times, but it was nice to see them, and hopefully now that they can go on and get that first win as well. Really, fingers crossed for them. And later in that year as well, you move on to see Red Star, and you find the form, the goals going. It was nice just to be playing the game, but also just enjoying the game, for most importantly. Well,
yeah, that's the thing. When I went to see him, I didn't really know many people there. Luckily, we had an FA Vars game a couple of weeks before when I was at Durham City. We played against Seaham, and Seaham beat us 1-0, but I played well in the game, and obviously Collie and Taj were there, and they got in touch with us and said, do you want to come along? And like Collie was on the other week saying about the contract talks and stuff. I signed for nothing, really, £60, which again, It's covered me expenses. I wasn't really bothered at that point. I'd had a year and a half of being injured, not playing, and then Devon City was a shambles. And I thought, well, I've still got a lot to offer. I just want to go and enjoy it. So I signed there again. Ryan Noble, my mate from Sunderland, was there, and then got myself up and running. Played a couple of games in the end of that season, but then the next season was really when I got going, and I absolutely loved my time in Seam. But the lads, the crack was outstanding. We had some brilliant people, but some very, very good footballers there. And I think that season scored 35 and was captain, and I loved it. I had a lot of respect off the lads. I respected them, and we did really well. But like I said, the dressing room was really good. It was really important for us to stick together, and we had some really good results. And at that point, we were flying. I think we were probably top eight on a small budget for the Northern League. So it was testament to Collie and Taj for what we'd put together.
Definitely. I think as well, it doesn't matter. You kind of forget about the goals that's going in because you're just enjoying your football that much. The ball seems to bounce in the right place. You get a nick off a defender. Just everything seems to go right when you're just enjoying that football even more, doesn't it?
Oh, it did. I mean, I had Robbie Bird. I was centre forward, and I had Robbie Bird on one side, and I had Denver Morris on the other. So you got two whippets there, and I knew as long as I was in the box, we would find it. I just had to try and keep up with both of them. Was the hardest part. But then we had David Paul Buster, who's one of the best lads I'd been in a dressing room with. Absolutely cracked as the lad, but he was brilliant. And then I was playing up front with him, Sparky guards, Nicky Kane, Davy Palmer in midfield. Just everyone seemed to have the qualities which helped me. And like I said, I just had to be in the box, and we had some fantastic games. I mean, probably the best game I've been involved in was we had Gisborough on a Tuesday night, which nobody wants to go there on a Tuesday night, and we were 4-0 down with 20 minutes left, and we've ended up winning 5-4. So that to me just shows the group we had and the quality we had, but also the togetherness. It was 4-0 down, 20 minutes left. We were just hoping it wasn't double figures, to be honest. And we pulled each other out of it, and I managed to score the winner in the 90th minute. So it was fantastic.
No, really good. About halfway now again, everyone that's watching again, really appreciate the support. A couple of questions coming in. Great one from Tony about management, which we're going to go on to very shortly as well. And again, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button as well. Getting on to management now, in February 2018, you're appointed manager at Red Star, still at a young age. How did that all come around? And do you think, was this the right time to step into management, or was it kind of just pushed on you at that point?
Yeah, well, again, I was a CM playing well and got into the next season, and I could have, to be fair, I could have left and went and signed for anybody in the Northern League or even higher. South Shields were interested, but like I said, I loved my time. I loved my time with CM, and Collie had moved on then, so Taj was the manager, and I really, really had a lot of respect for Taj. And I said, I'll stay. I said, as long as you can keep the lads here, I'll stay. And he said, no problem. And then in the eighth game of the season, we started well, and we were playing Morpeth. A lot of crossovers with Morpeth, actually. So we were playing Morpeth, and I'd just put my foot out, and I felt my knee pop, and that's the second time I'd done it. So I'd tore my ACL ligament in my knee. So that was obviously good when I was 24, and I thought, again, it was difficult to come back from the first one. I thought, being a non-league player with a job, I thought it's going to be hard to come back. So that was my season. I knew it was my season done, and I kept going along to the lads. I didn't get an operation until the September. So I kept going to the March. So I did that in the September, and I didn't get an operation until the following March, just with being on the NHS. So I'd been along with the lads, and then I was doing a little bit of coaching with Taj, and then I was helping Taj and PJ. And then we had a couple of bad results, and Taj said, "Oh, look, I've took this as far as I can." He said, "Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Not really." He said, "Look, I know that the lads will stay, finish the season off, and then do whatever you want to do." He said, "But if everyone falls, I think the lads will want to leave." He said, "But if you take it over, I think you'll be able to keep the lads together till at least the end of the season and give the club a little bit of time to move on and then go into a different direction. Or if you do well, try and stick at it." So I've never been one to shirk a challenge. So I said, no problem at all. And thankfully, Dave Copeland said, "Yeah, go on, crack on, see what you can do." And it was an up and down time. We had a couple of lads we had to get rid of for different reasons. It was this year where I think we had really bad rain, so I didn't even realise about Sunday League football. Because again, I've been watching my mate play after 20 pints the night before, and I thought that's what Sunday football was, to be honest. And we had 5 or 6 lads that played for Dorden. So at the end of the season, when I took over, some of the lads were playing Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. So they were like, well, we've got County Cup games tomorrow. And I was like, County Cup and what, Sunday league? Like, I don't get it. But obviously, once I started looking into it and stuff, obviously it's a good standard we were playing at. We weren't playing at the standard of having 20 pints the night before. So when I took over there, we kept it together, and we had lads, obviously, like I moved on to there about Sunday League, who were playing a lot. So there was a couple more getting injured, a couple that were playing for the Sunday teams and then couldn't make it for us due to injuries. So we were battling on, really. And like I know Collie mentioned it, Taj had to come play for us in Masquerade, went down in Masquerade for 11 players due to injuries and different reasons. And we only got beat 1-0, but we stayed up in the end. We should have stayed up a lot more convincingly than what we've done. But with what we had, with the budget we had, with the players that we had missing and the players we had to call upon, it was fantastic. I was really proud of that. We beat Jarroofing on the bank holiday weekend, which secured our place in the Northern League, which was exactly what I'd set out to do. So that was it. That was a box ticked, and it got to the end of the season, and I knew coming to the end of it that it wasn't for me. I didn't know enough players. I knew that obviously having conversations with the lads, their time with the team had come to an end. We'd been there 3, 4, 5 years, so we wanted to have a new challenge, which was fair enough. So I said to Dave, sat down with Dave, said, "Look, Dave, I've done what you've asked us to do, and I'm not leaving to go anywhere else." At the time, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to get back playing. I knew that I needed to go out and watch games and get to know players, because I'd only been in the Northern League myself 2.5 years, and I've gone from a sub to a player to a captain to a coach to an assistant manager into a manager all at sea in the space of 2.5 years, which was crazy. But I really like the club. I really like Dave, and obviously Gordon, who's not with us anymore. But I just wanted them to do well, and I didn't want it just to get a couple of months before the end of the season, and then everyone say, "Oh, well, Taj is gone, this and that," and everyone wanted to leave, and then there could have ended up being a little bit of a Durham City position to have, because
exactly,
you need to know that you need to have contacts in the game to get players to come, and I didn't really have the contacts. I just had to try and keep the lads together that we did have, and that's what we done, and we stayed up, and that's all that matters. I know obviously people had different things to say and about obviously when Collie went back the year after, but my job was done. The lads weren't wanting to stay the year after, regardless of what was happening, if I was staying or not. So I knew fine well that I'd done what was needed to be done, and I moved on. And then I booked to go away. Me and my girlfriend went travelling for 6 weeks, and I got a phone call off Nicky Gray just as I booked it, and he said, "Oh, do you want to come on Saturday? Come to Morpeth?" And I went, "You're serious?" I didn't believe him at first, but luckily Stevie Shaw was at him as the physio. Yes. And then he was at Morpeth, and he worked with Nicky Gray together in their job, and Nicky had been spitballing different people who he wanted to go, and Shaw said, "Well, I think Lynch is available. Give him a ring, see what he's doing." So I just out of blue, he gives us a ring, and I sat down with him, and he said, "Look, there's me." Obviously, Nicky was manager, then Stephen Turnbull was assistant, and he said, "I want you to come in alongside Twinny, and we'll have a go." We'd just been promoted to the league, obviously in between the Northern League and the League Motion now. So it was fantastic. It was perfect. I started coaching. I've been coaching 1.5 years as a job, and I'm a football person. Like I said, it's all I've ever known. So I thought it was brilliant for the next step into non-league, and then I didn't have to try and get myself back playing again, and I could concentrate on coaching and seeing how far that can take us. Wow. We won the league, and Twinny moved on with his job, and John McDonald came in as well. So I've been very fortunate in the last few years to be surrounded by very good footballing people in the non-league. Nicky Gray, John McDonald, Twinny, and then Twinny came back as manager, and then obviously he started a new job and the results weren't going for him, so he stepped down, and then again within 3 years I've ended up being the manager. Something that if you said at 24, I'd be trying to keep seeing West Ham in Northern League, and then at 29, I'd be taking over Morpeth Town that were bottom of the league. I would have said no chance. But look, that's the way it's gone, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And like I previously said, I'm not someone that'll shy away from a challenge, and I've loved it so far. It's been brilliant.
No, it's amazing. I mean, I think that brings on to Tony's question there. Tony just mentioned great show as always. Thanks. How does Craig cope with the pressures of management at Morpeth, and is there hopes for Morpeth to go full time?
Yeah, well, of course, there's big pressures on Morpeth. It's a big non-league club. Nicky and Dave Malone have done an exceptional job in the Northern League, won the FA Vars, and then we steamrolled the league below us that season, winning by 12 points at a canter. We were fantastic, and then the league above, we were just starting to get going just as COVID hit. I think we were about 5 points off the playoffs with 8 games in hand.
You're flying, yeah.
And South Shields probably would have won the league. I think we would have won it that year, but we would have been going into the playoffs with momentum. And I think we would have been really close to going up again that season. And then COVID hit, and 20 took over, and we didn't get going. And then we started last season, and we lost 6-7 on the bounce, and it just wasn't working. We just couldn't get it to work. And like I said, 20 stepped down, and I didn't even apply for the job, to be honest with you. I said, I'll do it for now. Again, similar situation as Siam. I'll take over as caretaker until we see if anybody can come in. And I just tweaked a couple of things that I thought might work. And we built some momentum, and we got going. And then Ken said, "Oh, look, Craig, we want to give you the job." And football's the best game in the world when you're winning. And at that point, we hadn't lost, I don't think, or we maybe lost 1 to South Shields. And so I said, "Yeah, definitely, I'm loving it, and I'll take it on." And we had a fantastic season last year from where we were at. We went October to February without getting beat. We got inches to get to the last 8 of the FA Trophy, being 2-0 up against York. We ended up getting beat 3-2. And then this season, we had a little bit of a change around this year. We a few players moved on, some really good starlets for the club, but it was just at that point where things need to change. We need to try and make Morpeth a bit more sustainable. And we brought in younger lads. We brought in lads on loan, which hadn't really been the case in previous seasons at Morpeth. And we really started well, but then we've just had a really bad spell previously. And then luckily this week, before coming on here, we've had 2 really good results and 2 clean sheets. So it's all rosy again this week. But that's the way football is. Like I said in the interview for Morpeth yesterday, that we'd lost 6 on the bounce and we didn't score in any of them games. Again, non-league football, it would have still been easy for Ken and Mark to turn around and go, "Oh, look, Craig, it's not working. We're going to try something different." But they kept faith in me, and like nothing changed. We've not changed anything. We've kept faith in me, and I wanted to repay that. And luckily, we've had a couple of good results, moved us up the table, and hopefully we can continue doing so. To go full time, I might be wrong, but I don't think that would be something that Morpeth would be looking for. Again, you never know in the future, but at the time being, the academy's just got started up. But I think where we are at the minute is probably a good part-time team where we've got some exceptional players for the division, and I don't think going full time would help personally.
Yeah, and like you say, you mentioned this season. I mean, we just mentioned it a couple of weeks ago on the show that we did it. You were kind of in that position where a couple of losses you could have slipped down a bit further, but then a couple of wins, and luckily the couple of wins came exactly what we said. Yeah. And you're back up to like mid-table now, sitting 15th in the league, 3-0 win yesterday versus Atherton. I mean, what's your thoughts on the season, and most importantly, what's the aims now for the rest of the season going forward?
Yeah, well, again, it was a funny one because we had Bamber Bridge, I think it was, in mid-October, and if we beat them, we would have went top. And I know it's still early days in the season, but it was still about 15 games in. So we would have went top, and we ended up drawing 1-1, and we had a couple of results, and we just couldn't get it together. We were either scoring goals, or we weren't defending very well. We just couldn't get back perfect performance, and we had a couple of 1-0 defeats where we had Whitby at home, and we got beat 1-0. We scored early, and we sat back, and we had loads of chances. We just couldn't score. Geisley away defended excellently, give a penalty away in the 95th minute. It was one of them where the errors you could see, so it was just about rectifying them, and we beat Gainsborough the other week, who were third in the table 2-0, and then we've had a couple of 1-0 losses, which could have went either way. And then this week we've gone to Whitby again, could have went either way, and we've come out 1-0 on top. And then on Saturday, first half, yesterday was very tight, but second half we came out and we blew Atherton away. So we've good enough, but the league's very, very tight this season. Everybody's beaten everybody again up till November. I think it was about 5 points between playoffs and relegation.
Oh, it's crazy, yeah.
So with us beating Atherton yesterday, it's pushed Atherton into the mix and Stafford's in the mix. So if we've got a hard game next week in Marine away, but then we've got Liver's Edge and Nantwich at home. So they're games where, truth be told, you've got to be looking at winning really home games against Nantwich and Liver's Edge, who were just below us in the league. So if we manage to beat them, we could be back to 10th. And I think really realistically, mid-table, that's where we came last season. I think if we come mid-table, and then we've got Whitley Bay at home in the Senior Cup. I said last year I really wanted to get to St James's Park in the Senior Cup.
Yeah.
We got beat off Blythe in the semi-finals. So this year we've got Whitley Bay, who's 2 divisions below. It's going to be a very difficult game, but you'd like to fancy yourselves playing against a team that's below you in the different leagues, and then it gives us a good chance to get to St James's Park for the last. It'll be hopefully the last game of the season, which would be a great way to end the season.
Oh, really good. And now I've got to ask, and we ask a lot of players, managers, chairmen that we've had on as well. Now with the pyramid system, it's much better now for the North East teams. Looking at being involved with the game, you see the players, the managers, is everyone wanting to progress now? There's that stepping stone pretty much from the Northern League Division 2 up to the conference now with the football.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what everyone's got to be in the game for, haven't we? I know non-league football, if you get promoted, it becomes a lot harder for accessibility with buses and away games. So there's a lot of financial costing going up as well, which puts a little bit of a negative on it. But as players and management, you've got to be in it to win the league, even if you're favourites to get relegated. You kind of just go into the league thinking, oh well, we'll see what happens. You've got to go in there with the mindset of, well, we want to get promoted, and you've got to go for the 3 points every week. So if you're not looking for the 3 points every week, then for me, adult football, then you shouldn't be involved in it. That's where the whole feeling of winning games. And yes, like I said, we've got a few younger lads in. It would be nice if I can progress them in their careers as well. But like you said, in that dressing room, quarter way on a Tuesday night or 3 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon, it's about getting to the end of the game and coming out for 3 points. And whichever way you do that, for me personally, you want to do it the best way you can with good performances. But good performances, I know, don't win games. You've got to be resilient in winning the games. And if Conference North is something that we would obviously look at trying to get into, it's difficult because, like I said, every team trying to get there. But I think if you've got to try and aim as high as you can, haven't you?
Oh, you do, definitely. And another question coming in from Tony, a bit of a football manager question, this one. If money was no object, which non-league player would you love to sign for Morpeth?
Non-league player. There's a lad at Bamber Bridge I like, Finclair Smith. He's obviously in our league. Regan Linney, who was centre forward for FC United. That's a good question, that one. But them two stand out. I mean, National League, we've played against Jacob Hazel a couple of times. He's a good centre forward as well. Yeah. I think centre forwards are hard to come by at the minute. I mean, it's a difficult one. We've lacked a centre forward for the years I've been at Morpeth, who scored a lot of goals. We've had some great centre forwards, but one that gets you 20 plus goals a season is difficult to find. We had AJ last year who played left wing, who scored 24, and if we had a centre forward who scored 20 plus goals alongside him, we would have been flying. But I think everyone's in the same boat. I think centre forwards are difficult. Look at Gateshead last year. They had Langstaff and Chedwood Scott. Yeah. That's what won them the Conference North. Good centre forwards, and I mean, if it was someone in non-league, it would probably have to be the national. If you're talking National League still or not, Conference North would be the top scorer in one of the leagues. That's who I'd want to get.
Definitely. Great question, Tony. And now getting on to our final round, which is our quick fire questions. 5 questions that we always go for every guest that we get on. So start with number 1, the best manager that you worked under.
Yeah, I would say for me, it'd have to be Keith Burchin. He was a man manager. He wasn't really a coach. He was a reserve team coach at Sunderland, and he seemed to get the best out of us. He was just he knew what to say, he knew what to do, and I could sit here and talk about hours of some stories about him. He was just a great bloke, just a really funny bloke, to be honest with you. I don't know if I learned much football wise, but I enjoyed playing for him, and my form in the reserve team under him got me the chance to go and play in the Premier League. So it would have to be him.
Excellent. Number 2, the best teammate that you've played with.
Well, again, for academy wise, would be Ryan Noble. He was a sensational centre forward, but I mean, I'm lucky to have a choice. Jordan, it would have to be Jordan Henderson. I mean, he's won everything. He's won everything at one of the best teams in the world. He's played for England at World Cups, and he's a great bloke off the pitch as well. All around a really good bloke, and someone delighted to see who's gone on and took Liverpool to the heights that they've gone.
Definitely. It's funny you mentioned Ryan Noble, because I remember it was a good few years ago, myself and my mate, big Newcastle fans, but we just go around watch football anyway. And I remember Man United reserves coming up to play Sunderland reserves at the time, and they had Pogba playing midfield, set midfield. And it was all about Pogba's going to do this. And I think he scored 4 or 5.
He scored 4. It was 4-4, and he scored 4. Yeah, he scored 4. He was frightening on his day as a striker. He was quick, and he just loved scoring goals. And I think, again, it sounds daft, but I don't think every striker does. But he did. He loved scoring, and he was great at it. Again, he should probably made a career out of the game, but unfortunately he hasn't. It's, like we spoke about, it's difficult. But yeah, he scored ridiculous amount of goals at 18s level and reserve team level, and he got a chance, and he went to Burnley and played with Trippier at Burnley, and it just didn't work out for him. And again, he ended up in non-league, and unfortunately, I don't think he plays anymore now.
Oh, it's a shame, isn't it? And number 3, best opposition player that you've played against.
Yeah, again, I'm very fortunate to have a long list. I mean, Pogba, Suso was unbelievable. He played for Liverpool, and he's went on. I think he's played for Sevilla, Roma, AC Milan. But the England team of the last couple of years, obviously I played with Pickford, and then you had John Stones. I played against him when he just signed for Everton reserves. Harry Maguire, Sheffield United. Raheem Sterling, Harry Kane. There's an endless list, but also probably the best individual performance I've seen is we played Spurs in a friendly in pre-season, and Andros Townsend played for Spurs.
Yes, yeah.
He played on the left on his own. He was that good. He was that much better than everybody else. He would play left back, and he would get the ball, and he would dribble up the pitch, and he would come back, dribble back towards his own goal, and dribble back up the pitch. He was frightening. Like that day especially, you think, God, that's the standards that you're looking at playing against.
Yeah,
and Harry Kane was up front, and I mean, I get some stick off my mates because I went back and I said he was just coming through at the time, and I said, "Oh, he's average Harry Kane," but what do I know about football? There, look at the way he's gone that day. We must have just caught him on a bad day then, but no, some great players. As I said, I probably for having a look, it would probably be Suso or Andros Townsend at that time.
Brilliant. And number 4, best footballer moment for yourself.
Best moment would be coming on in the Premier League against Fulham. I mean, I came on, make my debut against Fulham, but the week after, again, just a quick story, against Wolves, who were bottom of the Premier League at the time, and everyone watches it on the telly, don't we? And everyone's got an opinion, and Wolves were bottom, and you watch them, and no disrespect to them, you think, oh, they're bang average, aren't they? And so I've got the ball in the middle of the pitch, just came on, and I tried to do a Maradona spin past Carl Henry, and he's just put his hand out, and he just took it off us, and I thought, I'm miles away from these here. Like this is a good eye opener to see the standard. And then George Elokobe, he's a big unit here, and he's
a beast.
Striding past us, and I'm thinking, yeah, it was a long way to go for me here. Like if this is bottom of the Premier League, I think it's a lot more difficult than watching just on the telly.
And number 5, the funniest footballer moment.
Yeah, well, I thought about this one, and I'll have to try and keep it as short as I can. But we again, in around the first team of Sunderland, and we had Stoke City away on a Saturday, and I wasn't in the squad or anything, so I was just around my mate's house at the time, and luckily I didn't drink back then. And Stephen Clements, who was the assistant reserve team manager, obviously he went to Newcastle with Bruce as his assistant, and he's rang us and said, "Oh, Lynch, you're not out there?" And I went, "Oh, no, I'm just around my mate." He went, "Oh, good, because in the morning you're going down to Stoke, you're on the bench because G Don 1's not very well." I was like, "Oh, no bother." So I'd gone down with the doctor and the chief executive, got the car down there, pulled into the ground, and the kickman, Cookie, was like, "Oh, what are you here for?" I went, "Oh, geez, not very well." He went, "Oh, he's fine." So I was like, "All right, never mind." So I wasn't in the squad or anything. It was the coldest day ever at Stoke. It was blistering snow. I was sitting there freezing cold. Sunderland won, I think, 1-0, and get back on the bus, and there was absolute standstill. The snow was bad, so I ended up going to Manchester Airport, and Phil Bardsley just lived near me in Durham, and he went, "Oh," because obviously he's from Manchester, he went, "Oh, I'm staying down in Manchester. So Lynch, will you drive me car home?" He took us his keys. It was a brand new Range Rover. I was 19 at the time, just got a Ford Fiesta, and I was like, "I can't drive your Range Rover home." He's like, "No, I'll be fine, man. Just drive it home." So I rang my dad and went, "Look, Dad, my dad was like, "Well, I'll come and drive it." I said, "You can't be driving it." So got back to Newcastle Airport, 3 in the morning, and I was asking all the lads, I was like, "Is anyone else from Durham?" And everyone was like, "No, so and so, wherever." So get back 2 in the morning, and there's a fellow on loan called Kyriakos. If you don't know him, you'll have to Google him. You'll have to Google him. But he played for Liverpool. He was a god in Greece. We loved him in Greece. So he got back and he just said, "Anyone going to Durham?" So I was like, "Aye, yes." So me and him, at that time I was about 8 stone wet through. He was an absolute giant. He looked like a wrestler, big long ponytail. So me and him's cleaning the car. My dad's drove through, and I went, "Oh, Dad, I'm going home with him. I'm taking him back to the Radisson down at Durham." And my dad went, "Knee bother." So me and him's cleaning the ice off Bardsley's car, me and Kyriakos. So he gets in the car and he starts driving out the airport, and he starts trying to go down the motorway the wrong side of the road. So I had to say to him, I'm going, "You're going down the wrong side of the road, mate." And he went, "Oh, yeah, it's been a while since I've drove in England." I was like, "Oh, my God." So driving down and get flashed over, the police flash us over. So it looked like something out of Taken. It looked like he kidnapped us. It's a big unit. I'm sitting in the front. I'm trying to explain to the police at 3 in the morning why he's driving me home for. So we end up pulling back up at Durham, and that was it. Right, see you later, Troy. And he was back in the hotel. I still laugh at me. I still have a laugh about now.
Oh, class.
It's one of them surreal moments where you're sitting there with this absolute big giant Greek fella, and you're getting pulled over by the police because he's trying to go down the motorway the wrong way. But no, it's another good story to add to the collection. There's obviously plenty more of them, but that one's a bit of a surreal one, to be honest.
Fantastic, that career. But no, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. I really appreciate it. Some amazing memories and great stories as well. Really appreciate this. And fingers crossed, like you say, another couple of wins and you'll be looking possibly, you never know, up towards that top of the half of the table. And I know we had the show the other night. We just said it's so tight now in that league. A couple of wins, the performances, you never know. You could end up even higher. It's amazing, really, isn't it?
No, yeah, exactly. You just need to get a couple of wins together, go on a little bit of a run, and anything's possible. Because, like I said, it doesn't matter what league. There's always a time in the league where teams have blips, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we've had our big blip of the season, and we can keep the results consecutive now.
Excellent. But no, massive thank you to the viewers as well, the sponsors, Tony, for the questions that's coming in as well. Really appreciate your support. As always, almost now at 700 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing. Just hit the 4K. 4,000 hours of viewing time as well at the weekend, so we really appreciate everyone's support. Yeah, amazing. Thursday night 9:10 we've got review show Southampton, West Brom, Bournemouth. Looking at over the last 3 games. Next Sunday episode 20 Newcastle Benfield special. Craig Bell coming on, the chairman from Newcastle Benfield. Always nice to get a chairman on to see their thoughts on the game as well. But again, everybody that's watching tonight, and Craig, we really appreciate the support and I hope you enjoy the rest of your night as well.
Lovely. Thank you very much for having me on. Pleasure.